Welcome back, Tribe. Got one here discussing a bunch of Americans. It's a compilation about why they are leaving the United States. And obviously, cost of living is a big factor in that. It is for a lot of people that I've talked to overseas, especially in the past couple of years. But obviously, things have gotten worse and they continue to get worse. So let's see what's happening.
Husband and I were sitting on the porch this morning and we were just discussing the culture in the United States and how there's always this undercurrent of like violence and hostility, and it's everywhere all the time, and you feel very vulnerable to it. And sometimes you don't really even know you're feeling it, but it's there. And I asked him, when you go to a movie theater, do you assess who's in the room and who might be a threat and who might be hiding something in their coat, and like what you would do if they just like stood up and started shooting? Like, how are you going to get out of the room? How are you going to keep our boys safe? And he's like, yeah, I do. And I said, I do too. We never talked about that openly. And we both agreed, like, we do it all the time. We're at the grocery store, at a concert, at church, at our kids' school. What if who among these people is a threat? And what would we do if they stood up and started to do something? How would we get out of here? How would we protect our kids and ourselves? That is always in our minds. And I don't think we realize the mental toll and the physical toll that takes on us to always be doing those mental calculations. And then not only that, but the culture in the U.S. is such that you're always feeling like someone is trying to
Kill you,
get one over on you, or like use you somehow. There's always this sense of like you're competing. You're not helping each other. You're not supporting each other. You're competing with each other. And that person he's your enemy. He's your neighbor, but he's also your enemy. Like you try to make sure that he doesn't mow on your side of the lawn too much, because that's yours. That's your property. He's trying to take it from you. There's this sense of like, it's real like selfishness.
It depends on what country you go to. That's also an issue in other parts of the world. If anything, if you go to Western Europe, you're going to get like a woke hell. If you go to Eastern Europe, you're going to get people that appear to you as an American extremely cold in nature in general. And I mean, everybody's a little bit different. If you go to India, you're just going to get scammers and crazy shit. And like people haggling you like crazy. It just depends where you're going. If I've traveled quite a few places throughout my life, and I would say that Americans are typically like number one in terms of being welcoming and stuff like that. Overall, on top of having like a nice country, and, you know, you're not going to die from drinking water. And people don't need your money, typically, at least in America. In other countries where that economic, factor matters as much, yeah, you're going to have to be dealing with some issues where people basically treat you nice because you have money, because they want something from you, because whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's just the people there are opportunists. So the kindness you think you're getting is superficial completely. Anybody who's traveled overseas could tell you, the more impoverished area you get to, the nicer people seem to be, but that niceness goes away the moment they figure out you have no money. Be very careful.
And self-centeredness, and gotta get mine and keep mine and not let anyone else take mine. And I'm really looking forward not to feel that all the time. I don't think we realize that we're feeling it. We're not conscious of it all the time, but I really want to not feel it, you know? And I want to raise my sons not to think that way or have those sort of feelings or have to do those calculations in their head about like, how am I going to get out of this without getting shot? That's what I want. So that's why I am taking my two sons, who are 7 and 9, and my husband and myself to the other side of the world to get away from this place.
Americans are leaving. They're leaving this country in record numbers. But the amount of Americans that want to leave, that's got to be a new record in itself. 63% of Gen Z want to leave the United States.
Wow.
Their main reason being there is no economic future here. Okay, 68% of people in this country say that they are surviving rather than living. 52% of millennials also want to leave the United States. While Gen X and boomers want to stay put, only 25 and 26% of them, respectively, have any interest in leaving the United States. And while, yes, there is a huge gap of people who want to leave and people who can leave and people who end up actually leaving, this is worrying, right? Who's going to be left in the country if all the young people want to go somewhere else?
Migration replacement. Why do you think they're bringing in 20 plus million illegals under Biden? Why do you think they kept the open borders for so long? Just think about why things are set up the way they do and who benefits from this. You start to get your answers on why, I guess you could say, society is set up in the way it is, why normal everyday people are struggling. This goes for Western Europe too, because your replacement is literally waiting and they're bringing them in and they will work for lower profits. Remember, I told you, this is capitalism. This is corporations or the oligarchy, whatever you want to call it. They are in bed with our government. They are okay with, what could you say, cheap labor coming into the country because for them, it represents infinite profits. People who never ask for raises, who do more work for less just because they're grateful. And it helps essentially Democrats have a new voter base. It's the reality of the situation. They figured this out probably a couple of decades ago that if you just import massive amounts of people and you give them benefits, that they'll vote for your party forever. So you'll stay in power forever. So this is rich people's greed. People in power, their greed for power, everlasting power. Power for their children, their progeny. While you're left to starve, essentially. That's what it is.
Where do these people want to go, you might ask? Well, the top 5 countries that they want to move to are Canada, the UK, Australia, France, and Italy. There is a tidal wave of people that want to leave this country. And I can't say that I blame them. Life here is hard. I'm not saying it's a bed of roses anywhere else, but here it just feels impossible. We're moving abroad next year, and we can't be more excited.
I think I've reached my breaking point after watching the Department of War speech yesterday. You would think it would have been different things, but honestly, that's just the rhetoric and the words that were used and having 2 young boys. And just looking back at what has changed since January already, and how fast things have escalated. I've always wanted to move abroad. I could try to use that excuse, but honestly, at this point, it's what's happening in our government and in our daily lives. I don't feel safe here, and I don't feel safe with my kids here. So we have a 17-year-old dog. That's like, honestly, if that wasn't the case, I would be like, we just got to do it. You know, I would be like, rip the Band-Aid off. Let's do it. Whatever, blow up our lives and move abroad. We have her, and I just don't feel good about traveling with her, and I don't feel good about leaving her. So I think my plan B now is trying to finish out the school year, getting rid of things and really downsizing as that's happening, and moving to Canada for 6 months until we can figure out our next step. But I feel like I have to have a step that feels like I'm doing something right by my kids and my family instead of just staying here in limbo and not really knowing a time and not really knowing the plan. I think for my mental state of being, I need to put a plan into action. I am an Aries. I need that. I need to feel like I'm executing something and completing something, and I've got this fire energy. So
I am an Aries. I have this fire energy, yada, yada. Here we go with all this crap again. When are people going to learn, dude? You're not manifesting a better life. You have to actually build a better life. If you're being held in America because of a dog, you might want to rethink your priorities. I don't think Americans understand exactly how difficult it is to retool your life and go overseas. Maybe some of them think this is a joke, oh yeah, I just pick up and go somewhere. But how's the local job market where you're moving? Is the local economy better than the one you're leaving? What makes you think you're going to do better completely relocating your life and going somewhere else as opposed to staying where you are and you already have, let's just say, roots there, family ties there, connections there? It is not easy to move overseas and start from scratch unless you have a job that pays you online. If you have remote work of some kind, it's doable. If you don't, dude, depending on the local economies, trying to insert yourself into a country where especially you're not fluent in the language, you're going to get a new understanding about the difficulties that immigrants face when they come to America and they don't speak the language, don't know shit, have no connections, and then try to make it. It's not a joke. This isn't some shit you see in the movies where you're going to manifest a brand new life that's like going to be the best decision you ever made. You can very well fall behind. That's the truth. You could be making the worst decision of your life. The grass is not always greener, but these people don't actually know that. So.
Oh, yeah. So that's my new plan, guys. Tell me what you know about Canada.
Do you guys want to see my Albanian apartment? It's a little lived in at the moment, but that's okay. Why not? So here's coming in from the front door. I have one bedroom. This is my bedroom. I have the shade down, but as you can see, I have a beautiful sea view out the window. Leaving the bedroom, the second bedroom, which is where I store stuff, but also for when my children come to visit. So if you're one of my children and you're watching this, come to visit. Again, a beautiful sea view out the window. And then I have my bathroom.
Let me guess, her husband pays for that in a divorce or something? Or you're retired because you struck it rich, like you made it already? What other explanation do you have for, being in that location? We have to get some information on how these people end up there. Did you invest in properties and then you sold, or do you have properties that are being rented out and that's how you got there? And we need some solid examples for the boys on how to do this without like, I'm a social media influencer, I have a YouTube channel. Because that's the hardest part of reproducing this lifestyle. She's got kids back in America. She's most likely being taken care of somehow, some way. Because she doesn't look like she's 70, clearly. So where's the money coming from?
The washer, no dryers here really. A shower door that desperately needs to be cleaned. And of course, the infamous doorless shower. But honestly, this was better than the other traditional Albanian showers. Let me know in the comments if you want to see what the traditional Albanian showers look like.
Oh my God.
Because my shower with no door, with water that spills out on the floor, is luxury compared to those. Okay, my messy kitchen. I just ate lunch, refrigerator, my little workspace, my couch. And then...
That is the benefit of living overseas, though. And I'll say this. The fact that when you do pick up and move, places come fully furnished. That is such a L for America. That's not a standard. You move into apartments that are fully furnished and all you need is a bag of clothes. They got everything there from utensils to towels to whatever. Way better than even a hotel. It's ready to go. Pots and pans, dude. I mean, everything. Spatulas, whatever you could think of. It's already there and it's ready for you, which is such a W. I'm telling you. And then you can pick up and go to the next place, to the next place, to the next place. You don't really have to worry about anything in that sense. Like lugging your shit in a U-Haul in America is a pain in the ass. When you're bogged down by things, by stuff, you're anchored, dude. It makes moving a pain in the ass. I've been in Europe for a couple of years now and moving like, here, there, anywhere I want to go. I just pack my shit in a couple of suitcases and I'm gone. And that's it. And that's all I need. And then you land in a place where you have absolutely everything that you need. It's actually nice. It would make moving around in America make sense for a lot of people. And also, it would make the prices justified what they're charging rent in America. The fact that people have to pay rent over $2,000 and the place doesn't come fully furnished for you is a fucking travesty when you've traveled overseas. It's a joke how much we're getting ripped off in America. It's crazy.
My patio, which also has my beautiful sea view. So yeah, that's my cute little Albanian apartment. I pay about €550 a month, which is high for Albania. Okay, I have a nice apartment in Albania. I'm paying for it. Okay, average would be, I would say, $350, $450 is probably what you're going to pay in US dollars. It's right. The US exchange rate sucks right now, but my apartment's probably around $600. And then my utilities are like, oh my God. I came from Florida where I paid, over half what I'm paying in rent here. But over the summer, my electricity and my water combined, running the air conditioning full time, never went over €50. So yeah, there you go. That's the kind of place you can.
Again, remember, €50 to her is nothing. That's like, holy fuck, dude, $60. Let's just say that's $60. for your shit to run all day. They don't have centralized heating. They have those little wall heaters and coolers. So that's why it's cheaper. You're only heating or cooling one room at a time. But to somebody that makes an Albanian salary, you have to understand that 50 euros will break you. If the place is 350 to rent and then your utilities are 50, the numbers are similar. Again, Americans are in a very unique position. You can go overseas and you can make it. You really can. But where are we getting this cheddar from? That's what you have to ask yourself. That's the most important question. Apart from that, you're good to go, brother.
Can get in Albania.
We are moving our family from Florida to Spain. I have 2 kids, ages 6 and 7. We are all neurodivergent, and we are a family that lives paycheck to paycheck. So we are a lot like everyone else in the country right now. We're not super wealthy. We don't have savings. We're living paycheck to paycheck, but we are figuring out how to make this work. The time has come and we need to get out of America. So this is our journey. Today, one of the most important steps happened, and that was submitting all of our paperwork for our passports. The kids had to apply for brand new passports because they didn't have them, and I had to apply for a renewal and a name change. It was a bit stressful and it almost didn't happen, but somehow everything worked out, and the people there were so kind and helped us even when they didn't have appointments and they didn't have to. And I am so grateful for that. Originally, we were planning on leaving around January, February to move to Spain. However, things have changed and we're probably going a lot sooner than that. Looking at flight details and stuff, the cheapest flights that I can find are like the week of Thanksgiving in November. The day that the flights are the cheapest.
This shit makes no sense to me. How are you going to Spain when you're living paycheck to paycheck? You're flying your entire family out. With what connections? How are you going to get a job? What are you going to do for work? You have no savings. Where are you going to find employment? And then what savings do you have to keep you afloat while you're finding employment? Neurodivergent, bro, really? And you got kids with you and you're trying to make it overseas. Some of these videos, I'm sorry, but they make no fucking sense to me. Like, is this pure slop for like influencers to just be like, we're going to move, follow us on our journey. And like, it doesn't happen. You're just getting a bunch of audience. And then once the follower count builds, like, well, why we couldn't make it in Spain, or we, sorry, had a bill in emergency medical, so our dreams of going to Spain are over. And you get like sympathy views or some shit like that. I mean, come on, explain this shit for me. It's so strange, dude. I don't know how somebody plans something like this. Boys, we're going overseas, all right? Imagine you're going to leave. You're going overseas. How are you going to do it? By the way, here are the characteristics of your storyline here. You got no savings. You're a minimum wage cucky. You have no job when you're going overseas. And all you can do is manifest a better life. How are you going to make that happen? It makes no sense, bro. I don't know what the fuck some of these people are on.
By a lot happens to be my birthday. We are potentially looking at leaving in November on my birthday. It is a bit sooner than expected, and we wanted to try and have holidays here with my extended family before we left, but we're not comfortable with the way things are going so quickly, and so we figured if our house sells quick enough, we should probably just get out. The tickets being the cheapest on my birthday is honestly like so cool, and I really hope that that day works out.
Holy fuck, they're selling their house to go to Spain and try over there. You're going to sell the only asset you have? What, dude? Do you have, how much positive equity? Is the house paid off? We're going to assume best case scenario, your house is fully paid off. You got great equity in the house. Let's just say with average market values are somewhere in the $450,000. You probably got it for back in the day like $220,000. COVID plus the inflation of today pushed prices up dramatically. Okay, you got 450 stackaroos. How are you going to survive off that? And then if you fail, you got to come back to the United States, and now you don't even have a house. You have zero assets. All right, dude. All right.
We still need to like raise a bunch of money to be able to buy those tickets because, you know, plane tickets and extra luggage and pets and all that stuff is really expensive. So I still need to like sell some stuff and make some money so we can get those tickets, but it's looking like we will be able to leave on my birthday, and I love that.
Hey y'all, my name is Sanaya, and my fiance and I just moved to Albania literally yesterday. We moved from Atlanta, and it really hasn't hit me fully yet, but I'm so excited to be here. The people, the culture, the food. We're going apartment hunting today.
Wow, Albania is being taken over, huh? Rip to Albania, boys. Hey, it was good while it lasted. That was a little secret in Europe, and it's no longer, apparently. I didn't know so many Americans were considering Albania like that. It is a very nice place. It's extremely cheap. That's true. The people there are pretty friendly. They're not in the EU just yet, so prices have not increased dramatically because of that. They have incredible beaches. The weather's pretty mild for Europe in general. Yeah. I don't know what the situation there is with buying property. Apparently, look at that. People could just go over there and buy property. So that's an interesting take there.
And we are currently at lunch. So I just wanted to show you a little bit of where I'm at, what I'm eating. Look at this food, y'all. OMG.
I moved to Mexico a month ago, and I've been meaning to make a video about how exactly, if anyone is interested in why, I could make another video. But basically, I decided it was time to leave the US, and so I went and researched how to get a visa. If you're from the US, you can travel to Mexico with just a passport and stay for up to 6 months, but I decided that I don't want to have to go back if I don't want to.
Our family has left the United States 5 weeks ago, and today I want to show you our way and our typical walk from our home in Brazil on the east coast of Brazil, which our home is all the way back here. So then we walk, and this is a gated community, and that's my kids, and this is like forest called the Floresta Amazonica. And so we are on our way to the beach, which is a typical afternoon for us. It's like 3:30 in the afternoon, and you can see here, this is like forest. We're walking on a bridge so that we can get to the beach. Now, as you can see, this is peaceful. And now over here on this side, you get to see a river. And so I'm going to share with you the path between now and the beach. So now we are getting to a section of the community where the playground for the kids is here. And as you can see, there's tons of nature here. There are more homes going this way. This here is like a club of the house where they typically do events.
5 days left before we leave the US, and my garage looks like this, which is great. My piles of stuff are slowly diminishing, which is excellent. I feel really good about that. I'm very happy with the results. I did, however, get rear-ended this morning, so that was exciting. I had both my kids in the car. It's just one of those things that people follow too closely. And it was like a 17-year-old kid. His first question as he got out of the car was, "Are your kids okay?" Really appreciate that. Not super mad about that, but, you know, we live in a very car-centric culture, and this is one of the reasons that I've said on this channel why we're leaving. It can't happen soon enough.
This has been 9 months in the making. I feel like I'm having another baby, but tomorrow we finally move abroad. So here's everything I did today in the literal final minutes before we're going to board a plane. Today I did a lot of the document printing. So I printed a copy of all of our passports, a copy of our health insurance, a copy of our hotel confirmations, and our flight confirmation. Is that all necessary? Not totally, but I personally like every trip I print out all those things. So I did that. And speaking of health insurance, I also got health insurance for our family this morning as well. So we went through a global health insurance company called Safety Wing. It's going to get us started for any...
Look, this all seems nice. As somebody who did it a couple of years ago, once the, what could you call it? The magic wears off, I guess you could say, you're going to potentially be in for a rude awakening. And this is what I mean by that. When you're a passerby or you're just visiting these countries and you're doing it like a tourist and you're there enjoying things, but you don't have to deal with life just yet. You don't get to see the cracks under the surface until you really live there and it becomes part of your day-to-day routine. And what that's going to look like is bureaucracy, red tape, inefficiency. These all steal joy from your life. They make you realize just how good you had it in America. You're going to become very annoyed at doing very minor things. If it involves the government, say goodbye to half your day. It's going to take forever. or you're going to have to come back a second day. You're going to need to get some paper from it just happened today, by the way, with my wife, because she's dealing with an ear infection. So let me explain to you how this shit works. She went to go see the doctor who gave her antibiotic drops for her ear. And that was on Monday. Today is Thursday. And then sent her on her way. Okay, great. She then came back for a checkup. The doctor looked at her and goes, yeah, you still have an ear infection. The antibiotics aren't working. She said she still feels bad. So then they give her a little slip to go to the emergency room to go see a specialist. You get a little special slip to go see a specialist that deals with, ears. She goes there and it's absolutely fucking packed with people. And so she has to come back the next day. So she didn't get the treatment she needed. As opposed to in the United States, here's how it works. You go to the hospital, their emergency room, the doctor sees you, they check your ear out, then they do the basic needed to let's just say clean your ear, then they give you the medicine, and then they tell you to come back if needed, or if the specialist is available, you can go see them. But the specialist is typically in the same hospital, a giant hospital. Over here, the way it's set up is there's no specialist anywhere. You will have to leave and go somewhere else, sometimes multiple cities over, because that specialist is in such high demand. And the specialist is only available multiple days after. So, for example, she went Monday, but the specialist wasn't available until Thursday, and that was at the earliest. In other countries, the wait times are even worse. And that's just a minor inconvenience. Now, imagine if you had some sort of acute illness that was requiring specialized knowledge that you can't find anywhere else. America has the best doctors with the most forward knowledge and the most cutting edge tools and techniques in surgery for things that have not been seen or diagnosed anywhere else in the world. You're going to miss that if you ever have a problem. If you are in, say, my age range and you're starting a family very soon and you're thinking about kids, let's just say you met a woman overseas, you will think nonstop about, what am I going to do if my wife needs help? What am I going to do if my wife or my children are ill? I don't want to fly my family, have to go to the next country over, have to find out how to find a specialist in a foreign country next door because the one I'm in currently doesn't have one, or he's not good enough in the first place. These are going to be questions that will haunt a man that's looking to manage and lead a family correctly. Be very careful, because these are things when I went overseas, I didn't think about. I didn't have the foresight to think about. And then until I got placed in this position, you start to see oh shit, things actually are far more nuanced and deeper than expected. I didn't have this mentality coming over. I was thinking about something else completely, not even women, not dating, nothing. I wanted to retire my family. But then when you finally meet somebody, if you're lucky enough to meet somebody, and then you're placed in these positions, you start to see the shortcomings. Is the money saved month over month worth it if you're one accident away from shit going wrong? I don't know. Surely it's different for people. Anyways, just a little warning. There's people that are at different stages in their life, and for them it works. They don't really have issues with any of this stuff, and they live happily ever after. And some countries do have really decent healthcare, but when you're going into places where it's how cheap can I get it? Where do I save the most money? That's typically where you're going to end up having some problems. And by the way, don't get fooled by some of these places. You have to think the experience of the doctor themselves and how robust the credential system is completely different than the United States. There's a lot of corruption here. There's a lot of handing money, under the table. The degrees, the education isn't as high quality as it is in the United States. And be very careful who you let operate on you or work on you, because it will not be the best care. A lot of people will tell you some anecdotal shit, but good for them if they had good experiences. I'm just going to let you know. I've gotten treatment in the United States. I've gotten treatment in multiple countries. I've gotten treatment in the UAE and Dubai. I've gotten treatment in Eastern Europe. And I've seen, friends around me, relatives, or my wife get treatment in other countries around, Central Europe, more towards that side in the Balkans. But it's all the same. America was the most expensive, but in general, the treatment was the best. Now, we do have doctors in the private community and stuff like that are currently practicing, and they'll tell you there's been a massive decline in the quality of care in the United States. It is for profit and it does have its issues, but If you got cash and you're go see a private doctor, you typically get very good treatment. If you got cash and you go see a private doctor in these countries, treatment is not guaranteed to be good. That's all I'm saying. Food for thought, boys and girls. Anyways, as usual, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.